Hello, this is Kevin O'Connor presenting my Module 3 video synopsis. The article I chose to review is Learning Theories 101, Application to Everyday Teaching and Scholarship by Kay and Kibble. In this 2016 article from Advances in Physiology Education, Kay and Kibble present a mock physiology curriculum case study as a means to review 5 major learning theories. In their introduction, the authors provide evidence suggesting that the natural evolution for many science educators is to learn the basic principles of instruction and then reinvest their resources on matching their teaching performance to student outcomes, as opposed to improving their understanding of educational frameworks. Whereas other educators grow to become teacher scholars by engaging in educational research design and program evaluation. Essentially, in this introduction, Kay and Kibble are promoting the latter progression and encouraging science educators to enhance their understanding of conceptual frameworks of learning. To these ends, they review 5 curriculum design proposals using 5 different theoretical frameworks. The context for the proposals is a new undergraduate human physiology laboratory course. I chose this article because it reviews several of the learning theories we have discussed in this course. I also felt that the curriculum design examples are relevant to work as potential PA educators. The first educational framework discussed by Kay and Kibble is behaviorism. Behaviorism was the first theory to explain human learning. The theory focuses on measurable changes in behavior from interactions with the environment, where the environmental cues are the stimuli and the student's action is the response. In this theory, behavior is shaped through conditioning strategies using positive and negative reinforcement and punishment. Behaviorism follows a teacher-centered approach where the teacher is responsible for controlling the environment and designing the environmental stimuli. The teacher also identifies the reward structure, which will reinforce desirable behaviors and decrease undesired responses. Common instructional tools are supported by the behavioral framework, like incentives, repetition, feedback, and learning objectives, which establish the desired behavior. In the behavioral curriculum design, a lecture is held prior to the lab exercise to review the learning objectives. The lab protocol is also reviewed, again demonstrating the desired behavior. During the lecture, students are asked questions for credit as a means of feedback. During the lab portion, students work alone, following the protocol to display individual behavior. They also answer question prompts with points for accuracy and completeness, another example of feedback. Following the lab, the key findings are discussed in a second lecture. The final assessment of performance is a written laboratory report which is graded on the traditional A to F scale, which is a form of incentive. The next learning framework discussed by Kay and Kibble is social cognitive theory. Much of this theory comes from the work of Albert Bandura. This theory incorporates some aspects of behaviorism while expanding on limitations of the behavioral framework. A key concept in social cognitive theory is that people are both products and producers of their environment and that changes in behavior are induced through observational learning. In this framework, individual behavior changes result from vicarious observation of experiences of others, both positive and negative. Cognitive representations of these observations are then used to mediate behavior, such as anticipating the consequences of a response. In social cognitive theory, there is an emphasis on instructional modeling, demonstration, and imitation. Modeling refers to observational learning, which is more than just imitating behavior. Modeling is a psychological matching consisting of 4 processes. Attention, which determines what is observed and extracted from the event being modeled. Retention, which is the process of retaining the experience of the modeled event. Reproduction, where the memories of an event are converted into an action. And motivation, which is the willingness to demonstrate the learned behavior. In the social cognitive curriculum design, the exercise is demonstrated prior to the lab with the students following a detailed protocol. A course handbook is also used, which has templates for the final lab reports, including good and bad examples. During the lab exercise, students work in pairs and provide feedback to each other. The students complete a weekly self-assessment and receive 2 weekly scores, one for the team's ability to perform the protocol and one for the degree of improvement. Students are expected to calibrate their perceived confidence with the observed performance. During a post-lab lecture, the key finding of the exercises are reviewed. Additionally, periodic summative quizzes are held throughout the course. The next learning framework is the cognitive learning theory, which focuses on how knowledge is acquired, constructed, represented, and remembered. In this framework, students are active agents in the learning process as opposed to in the behavioral framework where learners passively respond to stimuli. A key emphasis of cognitive learning is how information is processed and stored. In this framework, there are three main components. The sensory register serves as the stimulus receiver. Here, information is held for 1 to 3 seconds. Attention is given to the stimulus. The information is transferred to the short-term memory. The short-term memory, or working memory, holds about 7 pieces of information for about 30 seconds. The capacity of the short-term memory can be affected by grouping information, repetition, and rehearsal. Important information from the short-term memory is transferred to long-term memory. Theoretically, long-term memory has unlimited storage, but information recall is hindered by challenges of retrieval. In cognitive learning theory, information storage consists of concepts, which are the fundamental building blocks of knowledge. Categories, which are grouped concepts, or better yet, associations between concepts, and schemata, which are deeply connected networks of concepts and categories. Following this information storage model, encoding is a process where new memories activate previously stored experiences, causing working memory and long-term memory to overlap. Information storage can be enhanced through organization, where it is already contained within a structure, making it easier to store. Elaboration in the context of cognitive learning is a process of connecting new information to known information by deliberately activating the encoding process. In the curriculum design adhering to cognitive learning theory, a series of laboratory exercises would be presented that build in complexity. A pretest prior to each lab would review knowledge retained from previous lectures. Students would have unlimited attempts to master the pretest. A cumulative quiz would follow each lab exercise with questions from the current and previous lab exercises to enhance retention and encoding of prior knowledge. Students must demonstrate mastery of the current exercise to proceed to the next lab. The next learning framework reviewed by Kay and Kibble is constructivism. In this theory, knowledge is subjective and constructed. Learners interpret current experiences based on what they already know. Constructivism is largely based on Jean Piaget's theories of cognitive development. According to this framework, cognitive processes are organized into schemes. New information leads to new schemes or incorporation of basic schemes into more complex ones. A simulation is when learners interpret new information based on established schemes or use existing schemes in knowledge construction. Accommodation is when new information doesn't fit into established schemes, so learners must redesign their schemes or create new ones. The constructivism framework shifts the learning process to a student-centered approach. Lessons are designed to challenge students' suppositions through experimental learning and problem-based approaches. A curriculum design following a constructivism approach asks a series of questions to be answered through experimentation and discovery. The broad role of the teacher is to facilitate the experience of the learner. The teacher sets the exercise parameters regarding equipment and training. Students present an experimental hypothesis, develop a report, and are graded on design, execution, interpretations, and understanding of limitations. The learner can try different approaches to confront the problem, thereby constructing schemes. In this approach, the learner is interacting with environment, not just responding to it, as in the behavioral framework. The final theory discussed by Kay and Kibble is social constructivism. In this model, learning is a process of appropriation, with students obtaining knowledge and developing skills through interactions with others. The focus of social constructivism is on the learning process rather than performance. The learning exercise is set within an authentic environment to answer real-life questions. Much of social constructivism comes from the work of Lev Vygotsky, who identified two levels of knowledge: the external interpersonal level and the internal or intrapersonal level. The interaction between the two levels is mediated by cultural mechanisms. Vygotsky also identified two levels of learning: the actual developmental level, where a learner can perform the knowledge without assistance, and the zone of proximal development, where a learner can perform with assistance from someone more knowledgeable through scaffolding or expanding on current skills. The zone of proximal development is where the learner eventually internalizes the knowledge. Social constructivism allows for differentiated instructional approaches. The teacher serves as mentor, helping each student reach their individual potential. In this framework, there is a greater accommodation for student diversity than in the previous frameworks. The social constructivism curriculum design incorporates groups of students organized into diverse teams to enable greater opportunity for appropriation through diversity of thought. The teams formulate 3 physiologic questions to be answered and are monitored for progression along milestones and to determine progression through the zone of proximal development. The teams are graded on collaboration, and the team products are graded on design, execution, interpretation, and discussion. As a wrap-up, I just want to briefly revisit each theory as a quick review. Behaviorism focuses on measurable changes in behavior from interactions with the environment, where the environmental cues are the stimuli and the student's action is the response. Social cognitive theory states that people are both products and producers of environment and that changes in behavior are induced through observational learning. Cognitive learning theory focuses on how knowledge is acquired, constructed, represented, and remembered. Constructivism, where cognitive processes are organized into schemes with new information leading to schemes or incorporation of basic schemes into more complex ones. And finally, social constructivism, where learning is a process of appropriation with students obtaining knowledge and developing skills through interactions with others. I hope you enjoyed this synopsis. Please contact me on the discussion board should you have any questions, comments, or concerns.